Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. It's freezing here. It's close to 0 degrees centigrade. It usually doesn't go down this much, but just wanted to let you know that it's really, really cold in California. Today we're going to talk with Major Madan Kumar, and we're going to cover this Daulat Beg Oldi airport, its history, its criticality, and what had happened over the years and where things stand now. And then we'll take a look at our favorite topic, Pakistan and then China. Major Madan, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskaram, sir. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, welcome to you also. Major, first off, we're going to put up a quick slide so that you can talk to it about the history of Daulat Beg Oldi, what had happened and why it was stopped in 65 and so on and so forth. So with your permission, we'll put that slide up. There you go, sir.
Yes, sir. So we got this is a very indicative map, not to scale. So we can see the DBO at the far end of Aksai Chin. Aksai Chin is a territory which we ceded post the 1962 defeat. China is still holding the grounds. They have not vacated it. And we can also see the DBO road. So this is the one which connects the DBO. The old times, one of the king used to pass through this, and they used to rest. It's kind of it's a dry meadow, we can call it. So that's a place this is like looking at the map. Look at the importance of this particular location.
Yeah,
Leh and Ladakh. And other side we have the Chinese border, and we have all the strategic locations. Above north of Aksai Chin would be the glacier, Siachen Glacier. So this is a very, very key and a strategic location as far as India is concerned for two things. One, to retain and to hold grounds post the 1962 defeat. And this is vital to protect Leh. And secondly, the claim line which we have and the claim on Aksai Chin which we legitimately have, if we are going to lose this particular location, and we are not going to ever in our dreams, even with whatever the might we may build in the future, will not be able to recapture those locations. Third, this is a very, very important location as far as the Indian Air Force is concerned, to provide vital logistic support to the forward formations and the troops deployed there. So there is an all-weather road which we are trying to build, but still, way back in 62, the only way you can send logistics was by air, and it was a very, very challenging. We never had such aircrafts as well at those point of time, even as late as 99, we can say. Today we have a modern fleet of Globemasters which we landed a couple of years before. So providing logistic supports, fuel, ammunition, weapons, and possibly everything which is needed in a war for a soldier, it has to land in this particular airfield. So this advanced landing ground in DBO is one of the most key point which at any cost India cannot afford to lose.
now, Major Madan, I want to take you back to 2008. Up until then, this airfield was not actually fit for landing. And an Air Marshal Barbora, I think, if I'm not wrong, I'm not pronouncing it wrong, Air Marshal decided that something needed to be done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vice Air Marshal P.K. Barbora.
Barbora, and he decided that this has to be repaired, and he himself landed the first flight. I mean, he was one of the passengers, or I don't know if he was piloting that plane. Walk us through a little bit of that. Why did the government kind of ignore this place given its importance?
I'll just take you back to 1962, sir, when Jawaharlal
Yes.
Nehru was a prime minister.
Yes.
So we had this great character called Menon as our defense minister. The kind of mess they made at that point of time. Even today, we are still, our army and the forces are paying the price. On 23rd July 1962, Indian Air Force did a daring attempt of landing an C-119 pocket aircraft in this airfield. That was the first landing which was made by a country At those point of time, just 15 years, how much of the technical know-hows, people actually, the public, the common citizen of India didn't celebrate it. Even the media, the politicians, it was never shown as an achievement. But imagine in Delhi's Palam airport, when the Indian Air Force was planning this operation of landing this aircraft, transport aircraft there, it's a World War vintage aircraft. So as we go up and up and up in the altitude, the engine speed reduces. The atmosphere gets rarefied and the engine speed, it gets reduced. So can we land at such low speeds? That's the biggest challenge which in any aircraft has. So to boost up the speed, the existing
Pocket
two
was
engines. What IAF did at that point of time, yeah. So what IAF did at that point of time is they asked Hindustan Aeronautical Limited to put an additional engine over the aircraft, so that it gives the boost, the power while landing and taking off. The balance of the time that engine will not be used. So they wanted to put an engine retrofit. It is like it's a most possibly the jugaad or the crude way of doing it. But that's a kind of innovation which was running in our veins. They tried with one particular engine. They simulated that in Palam Airport in Delhi, and they extrapolated the data, pushing up to 14,000 feet, how this aircraft will behave on land. Unfortunately, the results were not satisfactory. Then after, they had a jet pod engine fitted on this aircraft, on the head of this aircraft. But the trial again, they could get this right at this time, and still there is no guarantee that the aircraft will land. It may crash as well. So they extrapolated the data, flight data of it, and finally they decided to do this daring attempt of landing that aircraft in DBO airstrip. So finally, on 23rd July 1962, we landed it. And then after till 65, we were trying to do frequent sorties with only one single aircraft. We never had any other aircraft. 66, we had a huge earthquake. The airstrip was completely damaged. So from 66 till 2008, almost for 43 years, Indian Air Force, the various commanders, the various air chiefs have repeatedly asked the various governments in succession, be it Rajiv Gandhi, 𝗖𝗂𝗍𝙗, VP Singh, 𝗍𝗚 to give them permission to rebuild this airstrip and to land it, because it was a highly suspectable location. On the other hand, from 99 till almost 2008, Chinese were building massive airstrips and build up in the other side of the map, which we saw just now. For God's sake, if China would have decided to invade us, we would have lost Leh and Ladakh. So this is the area where you can see the Aksai Chin, and that's the very most controversial Pangong Tso Lake towards the east. From there, you can see as we move towards north, you can see hot springs, and then the two valleys, Galwan Valley, and then it goes all the way till DBO. Now, this side of the eastern side of DBO, they did a parallel infrastructure. If you look at a map today, they have built up n number of infrastructure, but we haven't done anything from 1965 to almost till 2008. Nothing was done. The road connectivity was still poor. There was nothing. Literally, there was nothing on ground. There was no connectivity. As crow flies, if the distance of 50 kilometers will have to be covered over a road journey of almost 8 to 12 hours. So that was the situation, and most of our army was on foot. It was on the soldiers' will and strength and determination and his training. They were able to reach those locations. And those times we had a bunch of ITBP guarding that, along with few detachments of army. Many of us doesn't know, in the Kargil war, everybody knows the history of what Pakistan did or India did. But China, during 98 all the way till 2004, during Atalji's time, when he was the Prime Minister, there were 24 attempts made by Chinese PLA to take over DBO. There were incursions, there was fight, whatever we see it on the video, televisions today. There were 24 attempts made by Chinese PLA, but they guarded, put their foot on ground, and they possibly did every possible thing to hold this area. So that's the importance which we have as far as DBO is concerned. Now coming to 2008, we had a very capable and a man of high grade steel, Air Chief Fali Homi Major. He was the Air Chief at that point of time, and his Vice Air Chief, the Western Air Command Chief, whom you mentioned, Gentleman PK Barbora. He was the one who insisted that we need to rebuild this and we need to land our aircraft. Otherwise, this is going to create a lot of problem for us, because the other side has been building up massively. But they took a call not to inform the government on of the day, which is the UPA, Congress-led UPA government, and Sri A.K. Antony was the defense minister. They did all the preparations. The airstrip was cleaned, it was repaired, and all the aircraft parameters were done. The same simulation was done in elsewhere in an airbase. Finally, on 2008, they landed this aircraft after 1962. So after 43 years of gap, we landed our aircraft, transport aircraft, back in DBO airstrip. And then this was informed to then Defense Minister A.K. Antony, and subsequently to the Prime Minister of the day, Sri Manmohan Singh. When this was done, A.K. Antony was actually leaving to China to hand over the relief material for the earthquake which happened in China. So the Chinese had asked for a flag meeting. The Chinese were disappointed. That's a diplomatic word, disappointed, and were actually they were furious of India landing their aircraft in our own territory. So when this was told to the government immediately summoned the air chief and asked him, "Why did you do this without our permission? We haven't given you any written permission." And the PK Barbora, who was who retired as the air vice chief, so he was also summoned, because he was the Western Air chief at that point of time. He was summoned and he was asked the same question: "Why did you do this?" So this, with this highest level of integrity and honesty, the leader whom I respect the most stood up to the government and said, "My job as a Western Air Chief is to provide logistic support to the Indian Army in Leh, Ladakh, the 14, 15 and the 16 Corps, Srinagar, Leh and Ladakh. To do that, there is no road which is available. The only connectivity is air connectivity. So helicopters, we know how much of payload they can carry. So I had done my duty, and we are informing you." So the only person who was aware up in the hierarchy was then Air Chief Fali Homi Major. He had risked his job. No general would do this. He is a air chief. He would have retired in the good books of the government, would have become a governor in a union territory, would have lived his happy retirement life ever. But we had such a leaders with spunks who stood up and said wrong is wrong and right is right to the government, which was senseless, which was not serious about threats which was coming in from the eastern border, which was not ready to even buy a single aircraft, in spite of air chief presenting a serious paper that we have forgot about two front war, we are not even ready for a one front war. Such is the leadership of him and PK Barbora, that today whatever build-ups we have achieved now, we have been landing our Globe Masters very easily in that airbase, and we have built up a sizable fortification there, and we are air bases and detachments in that location. So the start was in 2008. We had broken the jinx. In the fear of China, any prime minister in this 43 years have kept on postponing things. The easiest thing is to postpone whatever the toughest task in your life. So these are the two gentlemen, the two great leaders from the Indian Air Force who stood up, and the ground soldiers and the pilots who dare to do this. It's a daring act. Unfortunately we keep celebrating wrong things. A movie like Pathan, where 50, 60-year-old hero does some magic and it gets hyped up. Unfortunate, we need to highlight this. They messaged me that let's speak up to about this particular topic. Now, when this interview came up of the Air Marshal PK Barbora, the question was asked to A.K. Antony, then Defense Minister. This is what we are hearing, and what's your comment on it? He said, in the capacity of an ex-defense minister, I prefer not to comment. The beauty is, now we come to the beauty of it, how politics works. Once this was open in the air, the Congress UPA government then went and claimed that, see, we have done this. Their ministers, including the Prime Minister, was not even aware. They were not even aware. If they would have, if God, for God's sake, if these two, air marshals would have gone and sought permission, this would have never happened. It's such a strategic location. You would have chopped off, parts of Leh and Ladakh and leaving around 1.5 lakh of the Indian army there. So such is the leadership. They didn't say, but these guys were quick enough to come and take the credit. That, see, we are not afraid of China. And a very interesting thing, when this was disclosed to then Defense Minister A.K. Antony, he asked, now what should I tell China? The general replied, the air marshal replied, see, we are doing it in our territory and China has got nothing, no business in it. So the way that's how your soldier responds, right? So the way you want to communicate, you can communicate. And when they came back, like, Chinese didn't ask us anything. They called, at the ground level, they called for a flag meeting. Nothing happened. They didn't actually turn up for a flag meeting. Chinese also ignored it. So these guys are so happy. The UPA government, the ministers were so happy that, luckily, for God's sake, Chinese didn't ask me anything. So we will now claim the credit. So they went ahead and, did that Dandora of, the mightiest landing after 1962, 13 July. We have landed our thing here. It's a milestone achievement and whatnot.
We're going to show one more picture. Go ahead and show that, please. So we're going to give you a couple of links, viewers, in the description section, so you can read all about this. How this government has no spine. I have one other data point that I want to share with you, Major Madan. In 2011, the then Home Minister actually wrote a letter of apology to China, saying that we will never use this airport. Please go ahead, sir.
And sir, sir, these are the same people. The most their most promising youth leader till date, with the bearded look, Shri Rahul Gandhi. They have been asking that, we have lost 2,000 kilometers of territory. We have not, the government has not done anything. The government has not done anything. So when you speak something like this, allegations are good. Anybody can do it. What was your actions in the past 50 years? Let's take the last 10 years. Let's forget about the Nehru, Gandhi, and till Rajiv Gandhi. We can ignore it. In fact, Rajiv Gandhi, I would credit him for increasing the defense budget to 4.17% during his tenure, and getting in all the mirages which the Air Force was desperately needing. We should thank that man for doing that at the right juncture. There were a lot of criticism on him by the left those part of time. The left criticized him heavily that people are dying out of hunger, there's no food, and you are increasing the defense budget, doubling the defense budget. But they don't have any answer to what the mess they have created in the 10 years. And remember, the GDP was good. The growth rate was at around 10%. It was excess of 7%. They claim such a fancy data in spite of 2008-9, the global bubble burst, Lehman Brothers, and we have withstood everything. We have done everything. But this is the basic which the forces have been asking, and you didn't have any guts to do it. And in the floor of Parliament in 2012, Shri A.K. Antony, while answering a question on China, I think 𝙒𝙗𝙗 Swaraj asked this question about what is happening with this thing, why roads are not getting built. He said, on document, it's still available online. We have not developed Northeast. We have not done any developmental activities, road infrastructure whatsoever in Northeast, because the moment we do it, China will get angry and we will have a confrontation with China. So that's the reason we have not done anything.
Well, viewers, you will not get this thing in MSM. I'm very proud and happy to say that we promised you in the previous hangout with Sri Rajagopalan that we will get to the bottom of this saga and explain to you. And thank you, Major, for explaining what happened. Let's hope that there is no other repercussions that the Air Marshal has to face for having done this to save Bharat Mata. Major, now let's take a quick look at what is happening in Pakistan. Now, everybody is reading now they have only 100 million left because the 3 billion they cannot touch. There's a red line that Saudi Arabia has drawn saying, we'll give you 3 billion, you cannot touch that thing. It is only for some emergency stuff. So if you take that away, they have only 100 million left. And in 100 million, I'm hearing now, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, salaries have been stopped, pensions have been stopped, there isn't enough petrol going around, food grains are going through the roof, and whatever food grains and vegetables that were imported, they are all rotting in the ports because they don't have money to clear those things. I mean, where is this country headed, Major?
So let's see three things, classify into three things. First is economy. We all know that they have been left with no forex now. There is no foreign reserve. They are left with no dollars. I spoke to a couple of my friends out there. The dollar exchange rate set by the State Bank of Pakistan is around 265. Now today it has gone up to 275. But in the market, you don't even get a dollar even for 310 rupees. That's just today's actual status. They can publish whatever they want, but actually there are no dollars left to do any sort of import. That's point number one. Second, the central bank of Pakistan doesn't have dollars, so they cannot issue the letter of credit to any importer. So be it oil, essentials, food, medicine, they don't have letter of credit. So all the shipping lines have put the consignments on hold because they don't even have money to clear the shipping charges. Forget about the consignment. The product value is something different. They don't have money to even do the shipping charges. Now, when this happens in the freight industry, the shipping industry, the containers has to shuffle. Even though the volume is so low, the containers have to keep moving. They have a network. It comes to Karachi. From Karachi, it comes to Mumbai. From Mumbai, it goes to Colombo. From Colombo, it goes to Singapore, Changi. Then from there, it keeps on moving. The ship doesn't stay in anchors in a place. Now, because of this, the ships are, even if they want to import something, the ships are not ready to go there. Because there is a complete chaotic situation which is happening. Their vital, nerve of the economy, which is the fuel. They're running out of fuel. On average, 5 to 6 hours is the queue which is happening in the cities, in Karachi and places like Lahore and Peshawar. Now imagine what will happen in a rural area. They have run out of cooking gas as well. Now, above all this, their Pakistani intellectuals who run this country have one of a leader, the government, the minister in the government has given an interview. आप लोग कम से कम 5 दिन का stock कर लो घर पे. Start stocking up food grains and this thing at least for 5 days. Now this resulted in hoarding. Whoever had the liquid cash, they went ahead and they bought all this. Now there's a food shortage as well. One more journalist who focus specifically, I can't take names because of security reason. So this guy focuses more on the rural Pakistan. He said, now the typical rural family of Pakistan around 6 to 10 kids. Because family planning is haram as per these guys. They never did this family planning exercise. So 6 to 10 is the average. Now, the females are supposed to be at home, take care of the home, manage the cattle, do all the household and stuff. Now, because of all the crisis which is happening, they're now pushing all the children to go for work. 70% of their population cannot do basic mathematics, even at the level of 8th standard. That's the level of education which they've been have been built in the system for quite some time. Now, when all the people go out, till yesterday, there were 4 males and 4 females, and only 4 males were job. Now today, the women are also going now, and all the 4 men are going. Ab ghar se jao, go out of the house, earn something, and come back. That's how the house is going to run. Now, the poor girls, the Pakistani women in the rural area have been put under so much of distress that in the name of, the bride, they call it as a bride, they have started selling women. This is the reality. No mainstream media speaking of women. That's the most ugliest thing and the most painful thing which a nation can undergo, to sell their own women. That's been happening in the rural Pakistan. None of their media is covering it. Mainstream media is covering it. One guy tried it, so he has been arrested and put in jail now. Now comes the urban elite of Pakistan, who are filthy rich, who are richy rich and Richmond rich. So these guys have started smuggling their money out through Afghanistan. They have this cartel with Afghanistan. The balance of whatever dollars left with, the US dollars left with, is being smuggled through Afghanistan, goes to Iran and then to Europe. So 8 lakh Pakistanis have already left the legal immigration. We don't know what is the illegal immigration. There is no data to it. Now, the Afghani currency, which was banned in Pakistan, you can carry, I think, around 3 lakh Afghani currency into Pakistan when you enter there. All this is completely a black market. It's not accounted, no taxes paid. There is no immigration check. There is no excise duty, no import duty, nothing. So that side of thing is freely moving. So these guys have started moving out their money out, and they've been pushing it on continuously. Now the power companies, the Chinese power companies, have started giving the bills, which has been pending for more than 6 to 8 months now. Generally, the power is basically given for 3 months and the max is 6 months. Now, Iran is also providing power supply to Pakistan. Now, they have also stopped it. They are giving intermittent shocks to tell them to pay back. Now, who are the people who are going to help them out? They're all-weather, iron friend, deeper than sea, taller than sky, all this nonsense. Chinese, they are saying, we will help you to get the IMF loan. The moment you get the IMF loan, pay us the interest. So China is also waiting for them to get the IMF loan to pay the interest. Major CPEC project committees have been dissolved. It's not stopped, postponed, it has been dissolved. Now coming to Saudi. Saudi is very, very clear, as you said. We'll give you the bare minimum to survive, to make people live, because Saudi depends on their human resource in terms of drivers, sweepers, cleaners. All these guys go in Saudi. So that's the which they have in Pakistan. UAE has also made it very, very simple. You end your obsession with Kashmir, speak to India, open your 17 trade routes which you have with India, and at least try to leverage the Indian currency. That's a message given by UAE. Now, their Muslim Brotherhood, Turkey, we know what is happening in Turkey. So there is no way Turkey is going to help them. Iran is in no position to help them because they have been getting cozy with Americans. And Russia made it very, very clear. Russia has in fact given a warning to these guys. You stop giving arms to Ukraine, otherwise you are going to face the music. It will come through Taliban. Now, they have been left with no other options. And these idiots have been ranting about Kashmir. Even now, just before entering the show, I saw 𝙒𝙗𝙗 Sharif, giving a speech that we are with Kashmiri brothers. We are not going to lead them. We are a nuclear power. If India puts its evil eye on us, buri nazar dalenge, to we'll daba denge. We'll thwart India. This is Pakistanis have given up. I'll tell you. Earlier, when I used to put some tweets on this, these guys used to come and troll, abuse my forefathers, grandfathers, and the fifth generation, whom I even personally don't know. But they have also started sensing that these guys, when we may troll them, fine, but they speak some sense. Kashmir and the 5 wars which they fought because of Kashmir. Let's take the reference of 1970. Pakistan's per capita income was 65% more than India. Today, they are 35% less than India. You take any economic index, poverty line, ease of living, comfort, roads, infrastructure, anything, Pakistan was actually better than us. We should admit it. Now, because of this 5 wars, Islamization and the fundamentalism which they developed, the 𝙒𝙖𝙀, so-called 𝙒𝙖𝙀, which Zia-ul-Haq had developed, and then was further nurtured by idiots like Parvez Musharraf. They are in such a situation now. But even today, the voice of dissent is getting muted brutally. Govt good magazine, newspapers. One is the Pioneer and the second is the Dawn. They are not able to get any information, any sort of information from Govt. Govt port is under tremendous pressure. The Chinese are getting rocked up. The Baluchi, not only the Baluchi rebels, the common civilian, the Baluchi man, and the Pashtunis living there, are doing major, huge, massive protests. They are not letting it cover. Same thing is happening in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. It is happening in 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙬. It is happening in Northwest Frontier Province. The Talibanis are taking them for a ride. Now, in Northwest Province, which is the KP and Waziristan, their police is out on streets, and then they say the so-called mass bomb, the Monday bomb blast in the mosque, where 100 policemen got killed, butchered, was not done by Tehreek Taliban. It was done by ISI. They are out on streets to say that enough is enough, don't fool us. And there is a mass resignation which is happening. People are also fed up. Who is going to maintain the law and order? Nobody knows. They don't want to get into the hardline Sharia law of the Tehreek Taliban.
We have momentarily lost Major Madan, and I'm sure he'll rejoin back. And in the meantime, please like this video. There's new stuff that is emerging that you probably have not seen before. And Major Madan, we lost you for just a moment, and I just want to finish one line before we come back to you. So please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Over to you, Major.
So that's how, sir. Economically, we have seen, security-wise, things are not doing well. The so-called, Talibans have broken the, shackles of nothing is happening. Talibanis are now very, very clear. They said there is no more, this anti-Indian stand which you want to build up. There are 5 factions in Taliban, out of which 2 are anti-India. Now all of them are settled. Now Talibans are insisting on a direct flight connectivity between Kabul and Delhi. They are very, very clear in what they want. They want to restart. They want to restart the friendship, or I would say build up the existing friendship with India. Taliban has also sent out a clear communication to the ranks and files, including the Akani network and TTP. Any Indian who is going to come and work here in terms of projects, engineers, or whoever it is, should not be touched, and they should be treated with utmost respect. So Taliban is thinking in those lines. On the other hand, they have been brutal in terms of handling this Pakistanis. So they said there is no business, there is no way that you are going to blame us. And if you try any of your stunts with the F-15 aircrafts, we are going to make another one 1971 moment for you. So they are very, very clear. Baluchis are fighting. They have stepped up the attacks, the lone wolf attacks and the guerrilla attacks on the military installations, and also the Chinese have gone up. The entire Govt port is under siege. Nothing is happening there. The common, the fishermen folks of Baluchis and even the Pashtunis, they are up against the people there. There have been heavy curfew, there have been internet shutdowns, and there have been complete blackout. In the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, it's very, very clear. They said, we are Baltis, we want to go across Skardu or Kargil road. Usko khol do, we are one. We will at least survive here. Now the balance, Sindhis are also up in arms now. Sindh protests have come up. They are connecting themselves culturally with India, which is actually the fact. Now, what is actually left is the Punjab of Pakistan, which is the the western Punjab, which is actually left with. Now it is free for all. Jisko jo marji chahiye karo. Whoever is the survival of the fittest template comes in there. Whoever can run out of the country. Whoever can smuggle their dollars out, Whoever can loot, you loot it. It's completely free for all. And the army chief has been missing. He is busy meeting few senior bankers of UK and US for his retirement. Whatever he has earned, now he will shift it and he'll move. Now, I am 2 major things. One is increase in power tariff by almost 12 rupee per unit. Second is to cut down the fuel subsidies. Third is to cut down the fertilizer subsidies. And fourth is to give an interim budget to do an immediate tax collection of 300 million Pakistani rupee. I think it's close to 1 billion Pakistani rupee. Fifth is they have been very, very clear, cut down the pin. The Rawal pin, the tail, the big lengthy, 5.5 lakh army they have. They are clearly told to cut down their defense budget, maybe over a period of time, but you need to take some measures. To cut down the defense budget, Shahbaz Sharif has to have the approval of Chief of Army Staff. Chief of Army Staff is yet to return. I think he's planning to return tomorrow. So they are begging the IMF guys to hold, let the army chief come, we will do something and agree to it. And because next year is going to be the election. I don't know who's going to sponsor their elections now. They don't have money to print those bell peppers. So now, even if they get this, let's be fair, even if they get this IMF tranche of say $6 to $7 billion, nothing is going to change. We are going to see the same thing happening precisely after 5 to 6 months.
So essentially, we are kicking the can down the road with practically no idea of where things will go. So, well, I think we have parked it at a nice place. Let's take a look at what is happening in China. One balloon losing its course and floating across US can be accepted. But now there is stories coming of several balloons over Latin America, over one more near US again. So China is really getting a backlash from the West. See, this is the first time, Major, that an enemy anything has been spotted over mainland United States. Anybody with a telescope could see this balloon going across. And suddenly people are saying, oh my God, 2 world wars have been fought. Nobody ever dared to come to our shores, but the Chinese are here. So there is a feeling of, scare in, that's natural because you've never had this thing before. So US is really bristling. And today there is a State of the Union address by President Biden. I bet you he'll not talk a word about this balloon. He'll just talk about economy or some other bullshit. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Major Madan, all these balloons, even they floated a couple over Andaman when the exercises were going on, naval exercises were going on. Break it down for us. What exactly are they going to know now that they did not know before?
I had fact-checked the Andaman thing. It was first actually published by a local Andaman daily. They had put up this photograph. They said that, these are the people who have seen this. And they have put up the query to the naval because Andaman, we have a integrated command, but primarily it has been commanded by the naval officers, Navy officers. Is this a weather balloon? Is it been who has fly, sent it? Why is it flying at the current time where the military drills are taking on and so and so? Air Force have clarified it. Even the local administration has clarified it. It's a size. The size is quite different. It's a smaller balloon, weather balloon, which basically takes care of the humidity, the air pressure and the air wind speed and the direction and so on. So the basic air parameters. So there is no evidential proof that a balloon of this size, or we can say 3 times the size of a school bus, or an airship or a spy balloon ship we call, that has not been seen as far as the India, especially the Andamans are concerned. Similar reports surfaced up in Indonesia as well. Indonesia has also clarified that it's something different. It has nothing to do with weather balloons. They keep flying. Every Met department keeps flying. Now coming to this main Chinese issue, 2 things we need to note, sir. First is, I'm forgetting the technical name of it. There is a joint command center which is present in North Atlantic, which is basically manned by Canada and America.
Are you talking about NORAD? NORAD?
Yeah.
NORAD?
Yeah. NORAD was the first one to report that so-and-so balloon is flying in the Canadian this thing, and now it has moved into a Latin American nation, and we have been tracking it. The second one, which was shot down near South Carolina, so that's we all know it. But when this question was asked to the defense officials of US, they dodged it. They said, no, we don't have an idea. There are 2 countries which are manning NORAD. And one nation says that, we identified this from the NORAD command center. And the other guy says, I don't know about it. So there's something fishy. They kind of distance themselves. And when the next question was asked, what are you going to do about it? They said that whichever country, Latin American countries, they are up to them to decide what they want. We are going to focus only on the balloon which is flying in North Carolina, and we are going to shoot it down, the 12 nautical mile thing. Second, the timing of this identification, this thing, Blinken was supposed to visit China to refresh and kind of reboot the Chinese Chino-American trade. That was put on hold now. The third thing which comes up is China always plays very, very smartly. The entire world is looking at the balloons, right? And they may be doing something else. This is very much possible. We really don't know. Now is focused on the balloon, be it MSM, be it YouTube channels, be it social media. Everywhere it is all about balloons and memes related to balloons. They may be doing something else. This is what India did precisely during Pokhran 2 nuclear test. We were showing some moment elsewhere, and Pakistan was too much, and American spy satellites were actually focusing on the Western theater, but we ended up, detonating a nuclear device in Pokhran. So we may not know. We really don't know what is happening there. And the American response by shooting down with the rafter, on the side winger, that's fine. But when it was asked, we have shot it down, will you hand over the debris? They said, no, we are not going to hand over the debris. But our relations are not going to deteriorate. So why do you need to even tell this? China has been vocal, and they have been literally, their tone is different. They said we such a act by US will have its repercussions. It's a clear threat. It's a clear threat, and the posturing is very, very clear. They're very, very assertive. But the response from US, as you said, like it's never heard of after Pearl Harbor or something of this sort going on. Yeah, in between when Soviet was there, both these guys had the agreement of open skies where each other's aircraft can go into each other's territory. But this has been quite surprising. There is more to it. It's just a tip of the iceberg, which we are all discussing now. China can would have been doing something else. That is one. Now coming to the technicalities of it, this balloon, we all know the science discussed. It has not drifted. So there was a Met expert who spoke from the Singapore University. I happened to see his interview. He said, see, if I want to do a meteorological survey, I'll do it on my sky, on top of me. And if at the max, if the balloon gets drifted, it will end up going to Taiwan, South China Sea, or at the max to Japan. It cannot fly from Pacific all the way to Atlantic and at the strategic locations of the missile sites of US. It's not a coincidence. So it cannot be a weather balloon. So they suspect that this is the one thing which is evident from the photograph is it's got a solar panel to power itself. They also believe that it has got a propeller. So there is a decent amount of propulsion which can be done. I happened to speak to one of my friend who is a satellite imagery. He said, see, satellite imagery is expensive, first of all. And there's a very limited amount of time you can keep it over a location because it keeps orbiting. It again has to come back to the same location again to do that mapping. So there are certain photographs of installation which you actually study. But if you are not able to judge what is it a silo or is it a thermonuclear tower or it's a nuclear power plant? We don't know what is it exactly. Is it an empty silo or so? This altitude of 35,000 and so with the high resolution cameras, this can give exact pictures. So the satellite imagery along with the images taken by this so-called balloon can actually help them to decide on what military asset is it or what strategic asset is it and how it can be targeted.
Well, we have to wait and see what the reality is. By the way, there have been very loud noises now with the House being a Republican majority that they are going to probe into Hunter Biden's finances. The interesting thing here is everybody is looking at Hunter Biden's relationship with China, whereas his exposure in Ukraine is 10 times more. 10 times more. They literally, hyped out, they took out the entire bank deposits of a bank in Ukraine, and the entire thing found its way into US. Many people don't even know about this, and that has all the footprints of Mr. Joe Biden, who was the vice president at that time, and as well as Hunter Biden. So there are big things happening here. I don't know how far the Republicans are going to be able to push this thing, because on the Senate they failed to get the majority. If they had got majority in the Senate, things are totally different. Let's wait and see how it plays out. Thank you so much, Major Madan. And we have a few questions for you. If you have a few minutes, we can take those questions.
Sure, sir. We can take.
Let's go with questions, please. We have more or less 4 or 5 questions, and let's quickly rifle through them. Magnet Ranga wants to know, is the Chinese balloon just an innocent weather balloon, as the Chinese claim?
No. It is not an innocent weather balloon. Innocent weather balloon size is different. It has been very clearly described or assessed by the experts. It's clearly a spy balloon. It's got cameras, it's got sensors, and it flies at a certain altitude. It's got a solar panel powered mechanism there. It also supposed to have a propeller. So this is not a weather balloon.
Next question, please. SAS wants to know, Ajit Doval visit to UK also coinciding, I think US. Ajit Doval visit to UK also coinciding with Pak Army. Munir also visiting London. What's happening there in the larger picture?
This visit is a lot to do with what is happening in the country currently, the so-called the soft hits which we are getting, and also on the strategically, in terms of what is happening with Russia, Ukraine, and also to do with Afghanistan and Pakistan stability. Munir has met 2 major banks' senior officials. They got nothing. He has no business to meet them. An army chief is supposed to meet diplomats. He's supposed to meet the defense, possibly the British intelligence and the leadership. He has nothing to do with them. So the back channel talks between India and Pakistan generally happens in UK, generally happens in Dubai, these locations. But that's not the only agenda. This may be a coincidence, but if there are chances, they would have met and some things. But with the current dispensation, be it Asim Munir or be it Shahbaz Sharif or be it anyone, India cannot afford to go with any sort of agreement with any of them, because down 4 months we don't know who's going to be there.
True. Next question, please. Ritik Great wants to know, will Pakistan become like Afghanistan after default?
See, Afghanistan is a one nation. They have been one nation for, in spite of 700, 800 years of continuous invasion on them. They are one nation. Pakistan is not. It's not a one nation. Don't compare Afghanistan with Pakistan, because Afghani nationalism is very, very high. We may call them terrorists, fine. They have harbored terrorists. They have taken the route of terrorism to achieve their political goals. But it's a one nation. We cannot compare that with it. Pakistan, you could essentially call it those 4 provinces, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, then you have Sindh, then you have Punjab, and you have Baluch. They all feel that the Sindhis, the Sindhu Desh, believe that if I am out of this very stupid country, I am going to grow like Bangladesh. Baluchis also believe the same thing. If I am going to be out of this nonsense, this stupid country, I am going to at least be like Bangladesh. They are more left-oriented. They see the central Republican nations. The Punjabis are the only one. The Pakistani Punjabis are the only one left with now, who amass power, who have amassed wealth, who have been doing everything. So this is quite a different story.
Next question, please. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties hearing Major Madan. So we'll have to try probably 2 more, and then we'll wind it up. Matchbox 2.0 wants to know, are we able to build our own Iron Dome? Will India get one? Do we need one?
See, definitely we need, but we don't have cities under such threat like Tel Aviv, what Israel has in their West Bank. But definitely we need it as far as protecting our capital is concerned, Delhi, and as far as protecting our commercial capital is concerned, Mumbai. They both are vulnerable. We need such systems for sure. And tactically, we may need this considering the missile deployments, the rocket regiments of China. But outright purchase of dome, I don't think so. It's the right option. We need to build it ourselves. We already have such systems in bits and pieces. We have our own missile systems in place. So all those missile systems has to be integrated and such a system. It may not be exactly like an Iron Dome, but it will be the objective and the purpose of it will be the same.
Next question, please. Ajay Kumar wants to know, is it possible to take Aksai Chin at all? Does India really want it back?
Yes, we want it back to secure our strategic locations. We want it back, but it's a very, very distant dream of taking Aksai Chin back because China is too strong. We need to be real. We need to be speaking real things. China is far more powerful than us in terms of economy and military strength. Maybe down 20-30 years. Let's see how things change out when our enemy weakens and we become an economic power. We may attempt to do so.
Next question, please. Raghunandan wants to know, 1947 to 48 war was planned by the British before our independence and Pak Foundation is flawed. Your view on it?
Thanks, Raghu. Excellent question. I just did a detailed study on this and I published a Tamil version of it in my channel. But for all of you who are non-Tamils, we will have an exclusive show on this. I have a very interesting and explosive story. The real truth of what has happened. We will speak about it. I would request.
Wonderful. You're on. Next week we'll do that for sure. Absolutely. You're on, Major Madhan. Get going. I've been reading the book by Major Akbar Khan. This book is not in print anymore, but somebody was kind enough to send me a PDF, and I've been reading that. And if he gives me permission, I can even allow it to be seen by every one of you. And so very interesting stuff. This is the guy who planned out the entire incursion in 1947 from Kashmir to try and capture Kashmir by saying that they are going to have some people who are irregulars and so on. There was nothing irregular there. So we'll do that also. Next week, Major Madhan, we'll be happy to host you, sir. Let's take a look at the next question. Thank you, sir. Magnet Ranga wants to know, how safe are the nukes in Pakistan? Would Pakistan try to trade this for survival? Magnet Ranga has been watching Arif Ajakia. There was a story, one full episode he devoted to this. Go ahead, sir.
See, we cannot rule out. Iran is very, very close to go live on a nuclear weapon. If that happens, the entire dynamics of Middle East and Asia, Indo-Pacific changes. If Iran goes nuclear, it completely alters the dynamics of the world, which would US would not want. Especially Israel would never like to have it. So Israelis are closely watching it. More than Americans, Israelis are watching it. In such scenarios, Israel has its own ways and means of preventing it. Definitely, they will prevent it. And also, that's the last card Pakistan has. If they preempt it or if they play it without knowingly or unknowingly, their ends the story. Pakistan will be isolated like North Korea. We forget about everything else. That's the only the disgraceful thing saving them. If they're going to play that card, it's a suicidal for them. So I don't think so they will do it.
Next question, please. Let's make it the last one. Veeraraghavan Narasimhan wants to know how to stop the drug traffic from Pakistan to Punjab and India.
See, it is too tough because the border is quite. The border is fenced. We have a very good international border manned by BSF. But the threat of drones, tunnels, we have found a way. There are few startups, few hardwares which can actually detect tunnels. That's a very interesting update. But as far as drones are concerned, it's a menace. It's like, you can't keep shooting at every crow that comes into your, terrace. So that's the kind of menace we have. Unfortunately, we have a government, AAP, the Aam Aadmi Party government, where most of these guys are actually involved in this trade. It suits everyone. It gains, everybody gains in this. The cops, everybody gains. I'm not saying all the cops and politicians are involved. A lot of them are involved. There are stories published by the mainstream media about this. So 100% is it the responsibility of one is the trade, which the consignment, the stopping the logistics that can be done by BSF. It's a central government's responsibility. But the trading inside the state has to be curtailed by the state government, where they are in no mood as of now. I don't think so. Until or unless there is an electoral effect on this, this is going to get curtailed.
Well, I think let's last question. Darth Begum. Why the Chinese couldn't use light blue color of the balloon at least to blend in?
The good question, but ultimately they want us to see it.
Yes, that is the. See, you have a point there, Major Madan, that you create noise here, activities happening in this side. So there is something these guys are up to, and then that's the important thing that India needs to find out, US needs to find out, and we'll keep you posted. Major Madan, next week we'll have you back on the 1947-48 conflict. Please get all your presentation or something like that. If you have to do it, be ready with that, sir. Let me know, and I'll be very happy to host you, viewers. We host patriots like Major Madan for a good reason. That is that sometimes what happens is the mainstream media has its own compulsions on how to tell a story, and it usually gets buried in the noise. I hope you understood the gravity of and the importance of why the DBO, that action was taken by one air marshal. There are patriots, and India, as in army major, I mean, I tip my hat to the armed forces, all four of them. Amazing work they do, and so do every country. Your armed forces are your pride. And when you think about how the politicians go and wreck it, wreck is the only word I can say. Even today, Colonel Srikanth Purohit is still waiting for justice. And that is a story that has to be covered on its own. I will try and get that thing. It breaks my heart, Major Madan. I'm telling you, whenever I hear what has been happening there, because the system has been so used to getting its kickbacks and other things, they want to just keep this thing under wraps. I'm sorry to digress. Thank you so much, Major Madan. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. We'll be back next week with 1947-48 Kashmir conflict. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Namaskar, sir. Jai Hind.